All right, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Bashim Kakwadash, coming to the family with another breakdown of the scriptures. Hope this lesson is edifying to the Ox and Akwath out there listening and learning. So to you, I say Shalom. This is your brother Yahya, and I wanted to go over, just go over a couple verses in the book of James. So I'll be reading James 3, 8 through 18. And that's just going to be the gist of it. I do have a few precepts to go off of James in this verse, but in these few verses, but I hope it is edifying. Okay, and I want to talk about the tongue and how that we ought to be and need to be separate. Okay, and so in the book of James, James 1:1. He's writing this letter to the 12 tribes, which are scattered abroad, okay? And we know how we were scattered, okay? And so this letter is going out to the 12 tribes, the brothers. And so I want us to really just think about this subject of the tongue, okay? So I'm going to read it, and then we'll hit a couple precepts, okay? It reads, but the tongue can no man tame. It is an unruly evil, full of deadly poison. Therewith bless we power, even the Father, and therewith curse we men, which are made after the similitude of power. Okay? And so similitude, the meaning of similitude means similarity. Okay? Because we are made in the image of Yahweh power, right? So we are in his image, so we are similar. Okay? That's what similitude means. It means similar, something like. Okay. Continue on. Verse 10. Out of the same mouth proceedeth blessing and cursing. Okay. My brethren, these things ought not to be. So he's writing this letter to the 12 tribes. Okay. And he's letting them know how they should be. You know, we're not following the law of Moses no more. Okay. And so there's a new understanding of how we need to walk, okay? All through the sacrifice of our big brother, Yahweh Shai, okay? And so basically James is telling them, like, you're putting forth these blessings, you're praying to the Most High every day, but at the same time you cursing people. And he said this ought not to be. Like, you can't do that, okay? Verse 11, doth a fountain send forth the same place sweet water and bitter water? So when it comes to that cursing, it's not necessarily, it's not talking about, curse words, cursing of our brethren, putting curses on people, okay? Praying for cursings upon our people, okay? And so James is saying that, we can't be that way. That's not how we're ought to be. We need to be different, okay? So, verse 11, doth a fountain send forth at the same place sweet water and bitter water? Okay, think about that. Can the fig tree, my brethren, bear olive berries, either a vine, figs? So can no fountain both yield salt water and fresh water. Who is wise men and endured the knowledge with knowledge among you? Let him show out of a good conversation his works with meekness and wisdom. So that's what we need to do amongst our brotherhood, okay? This is what we need to do amongst our family. We have to be in that meekness spirit, okay? We have to be separate. We have to be set apart and different, okay? As the scripture says, right? Because we are the salt. And so understanding that not all Israel is Israel, because we have the 2/3 and whatnot. I think the gist of what James is trying to say is that within our body, okay, within this brotherhood, there's a certain way that we need to be, okay? And we need to act, okay? And so in doing so, we need to show meekness, right? We need to be, of course, we need to be stern when we need to be stern, right? Because all things will be revealed anyway. So, but the gist of this is we can't be both-sided, okay? We can't, even though the Most High has a left hand and right hand, positive and negative, right? But as far as when we're dealing with our brothers, okay, we have to be careful of how we do that. James 3:12. Can a fig tree, my brethren, bear olive berries? Either a vine, figs, so can no fountain both yield salt water and fresh water. Who is a wise man endued with knowledge among you? Let him show out of a good conversation his works with meekness and of wisdom. And so when we're dealing with our brotherhood and our family, we have to that conversation has to be with meekness and with wisdom, because not everybody's level of faith is the same, okay? People, our brotherhood, are in different segment and portions of their faith and their walk. So, you know, the sincere milk is what's needed first before you get the meat, right? So we got to be careful of that. We're not so hard or so judgmental on our brothers who are still in the milk section. You feel me? If you can receive that. Let's see here. James 3:14. But if ye have bitter envying and strife in your hearts, glory not, and lie not against thy truth. This wisdom descendeth not from above, but is earthly, sensual, devilish, right? For where envying and strife is, there is confusion and every evil work. But the wisdom that is from above is first pure, then peaceable, gentle, and easy to be entreated, full of mercy and good fruits, without partiality, okay? Partiality meaning incomplete, right? Bias. There's a few words you can throw in there. Prejudice, or against a person, right? And without hypocrisy, okay? Claiming to have moral standards, but then your actions speak differently, okay? This ought not to be. So, going back to this letter that James is writing to the 12 tribes, he's writing this to the brotherhood. He's writing this to the tribes to let them know how they need to act. Tell them about the tongue and how deadly the tongue is, because you know that words start wars. Rumors start wars, as they say. Rumors start wars. Salakia. Words start wars. That's why the scripture says, the tongue no man can tame. Okay? So he's basically letting them know, listen, we need to get this under control. Okay? And remind ourselves of when we're in these situations, how we ought to be, because we need to be separate from we need to be separate from these 2/3. We need to be separate from, of course, these heathen and Esau and whatnot, because we are different. We are the salt, okay? And so we need to act accordingly. Act accordingly, okay? And so that's basically what the gist of what James is trying to get across, okay? 18, and the fruit of righteousness is sown in peace, and of them that make peace. Now, the scripture says, if it be all possible, live peaceable among all men, okay? That's scripture. If it be possible, that's if. So, when we're talking about the body, we are going to be long-suffering as well, just like our big brother was long-suffering with us, right? We need to be long-suffering too. And we need to always check our own selves when we are in situations where it's difficult to show that meekness, you know what I'm saying? To allow another brother, Ak and Akwaf, you know, to, if there's a problem, like, okay, well, this is my side of the story, and this is what it is. Because you have to get to the bottom of things, right? You have to get to the bottom of things. So this is basically what James is saying. This is how we ought to be, okay? And this is to the 12 tribes, okay? Scattered abroad, as the beginning of James 1:1 states, okay? So I just wanted to bring this lesson out, a short lesson, just going over the tongue, because, you know, we are in the last, we're in these, you know, these are these last times, man. We're in these last days, and we waiting upon that spiritual power. You know, the Most High, Yahweh Shem Yahshai, is coming to his church without spot or wrinkle. So we got to make sure that we are that church without spot or wrinkle, and think about that daily. Think about how, you know, how important the brotherhood is, and how we ought to treat each other, and how we ought to love one another and show that love. And if there is problems, if there's tension, if there's things that have been said that shouldn't have been said, if there's whatever it may be, that we take care of that to the best of our ability. Take care of it, because we got to do it in love. We got to do it in meekness. And at the end of the day, if it comes out to where we can't live peaceable, or, you know, we have to cut people off, then we have to do that too. But we have to put that work in, okay? And like I said, not everybody's in the same area of faith. You know, brothers have different ailments physically, and they struggle with that spiritually. I mean, it could be all kind of things, but the level of faith is different. So we need to know where our brothers are in their faith and in their walk. We have to understand and know that. And the way you do that is you got to talk to them. You have to talk to them, and you got to, like, break bread with them if you can. But you have to have these conversations with them. That way you know where they're at in their walk. That way you're able to judge accordingly, right? Because we're supposed to have righteous judgment. So if we're supposed to have righteous judgment, we got to understand what that is and how we're going to go about having righteous judgment, right? And that's showing love. And sometimes it's tough love, you know what I mean? But nonetheless, it's getting us on track and keeping us on track. That way the Most High is going to come back to his church without spot or wrinkle. So I hope this lesson was edifying. Much love to the Rod of Iron family. I love y'all so much, brotherhood so much. And let's keep pushing this line, man. Keep pushing this line. And hope y'all have a blessed day. Till next time, I say shalom.